Hi there, this is Ben with Wild Last Frontier. Today I'm going to do part 2 of my skills video series. This time I'm going to be doing candle making. There's a lot of different methods for light generation, but one that I particularly enjoy is making candles. So let's get right into it. Alright, now while I'm waiting to get a good bed of coals so that I can set up my grill, I'll get to that in a second. I'll explain the concept of what I'm doing. So I want to make dipped candles. So I have here, a little bit of water. I've got an old glass jar candle with the wax that was in there from the half-burnt candle and a bunch of other wax from wax warmers and other candles and such, all just kind of chopped up and mixed in there. It sits nicely into this metal pot, and I've got about what's that, 6 ounces of water in there. So when it slides into there, it displaces water almost up to the rim, because when I'm going to welt this wax, when I go to melt this wax in order to dip the string into it, I don't want the fire coming in direct contact with the glass. And of course, what video of mine would ever be complete without making coffee? Alright, so now I'd like to demonstrate some waterproof matches. The matches themselves are waterproof. The striker, little cardboard piece, is definitely not, so keep these dry. I've got this cheap aluminum watertight container, but the important part is to keep the striker dry. So whoop, dip the match in the water. Oh no, rainstorm, everything's wet. Somehow my matches were outside while my strikers are dry. So shake off the residue. Oh, there we go. Let it burn for a second. Once it gets down into the main body of it, just throw it underwater, see it bubbling, and flame again. These things are pretty cool. They burn for about 10 to 15 seconds, so still got to be careful with your fire preparation, but pretty neat. Well, coffee's made. That was pretty quick. But while I'm waiting for the wax to continue melting, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my wick. So you need to use natural materials for wicks. If you use some synthetic materials, they just kind of sputter and melt and don't really work at all. So I've got here just some jute cord. This is actually one strand of a triple strand rope that I've already pulled apart, and each of these strands has several smaller. So what I'm going to do is unravel this, get this thing to focus, and I'm going to use one of these single strands as my wicks. So I'm going to make it pretty long, fold it in half, and then I'm going to dip it into the wax and make 2 candles at a time. As you can see there, the wax is already starting to melt really well. The water in between is not boiling over, but it's transferring enough heat to get this wax melting and show what it looks like when it cools off rather quickly, because it's only like high 30 degrees right now. Strangely warm actually for Alaska, but very pleasant. So I'll be dipping in the string or the wick, pulling it out, and letting it dry. Dip it again, pull it out, let it dry, and it builds up layers and layers and layers until you get a candle. All right, it's finally time to start dipping. Let's see. Important aspect is to make sure you dip it fast enough that it doesn't start melting the layers that you've already built up. You can see it's starting to get pretty thick on there. It's going to take many, many, many more layers, but my assistant Carly is going to go get a glass of cold water so that I can dip in, go straight into the cold water instead of holding it and letting it cool. Shake off the water, dip it back in. So that should make this whole process go by a little bit faster.
Oh, well.
Much more efficient.
Was that sarcasm?
No. See, I'm starting to get fat real quick.
But they're also, I'm losing stuff too.
No,
so
it
maybe...
doesn't matter. It's fine.
Okay.
These are some really lumpy candles because I've got really lumpy string.
Yeah, and it's picking up random pieces of wax.
You dip it in the wax, and when you
Should
go
we-
into the water, I dip into the wax. And when you pop out, we trade places.
Or we can go at whatever pace we want. You're so mechanical with everything.
If you can be
Methodical?
one thing, you should be efficient.
Okay, well, you're trying to like choreograph this, and I'm just trying to free ball it for the YouTube.
Oh my gosh. I think your candle's getting a little lumpy.
You know what? Everyone's been telling me it's all about the lumps.
Oh my god.
But fat bottom candles make the world go round?
Yes. They're a little funky shaped, but that's alright. They'll still burn just fine.
Ah!
Don't fall in.
Oh my god, I'm glad you got that.
Alright, so we've got 2 very crude, lumpy, but functional candles. And I will demonstrate how to strap those to a tree or a branch or something so you don't have to hold them while they're on fire. But with the remaining wax, I'm going to do a poured candle. So right here in this cup, I have a double thick wick tied to a stone at the bottom with a little twig as a crossbeam to hold it straight. I'll try and center that as best I can. And then obviously with a gloved hand, remove the remaining hot wax and pour it in. This will take a lot longer to cool off than the others. And while it is, I'm gonna light those up and strap them to a tree. Very, very carefully. So here you go. Got a candle holder prepared. Alright, so what I did was I took a little log here, or a little branch, split it down the middle, used spruce root, very flexible, very, not the most durable, but very flexible material. Slipped it down through the crack around the candle, then wound it back around the split log by itself and tied it off. Now I'm going to use a little bit of the leftover string to tie this to this tree, like so. Success. Beautiful. All right, we got the dipped candles working. Now it's time to see how well the poured candle works. Ooh, it's sure taking its time. There we go. All right, successfully proved the concept of the dipped wax candle and the poured wax candle. This is the kind of stuff I haven't done since I was a kid, so I was excited to practice this skill and share it with you. Hopefully I'll get some good shots tonight when it's nice and dark out, and I'll be able to demonstrate just how much light one of these little candles can shed. Thanks for watching.